We're not going to be before you long. So I want to talk specifically today about credit. Um, with regards to the credit, I know when this COVID-19, when this hit, a lot of folks who were pre-approved, um, they had already been pre-approved, had already gone through the whole process of getting approved. And when everything changed, we were actually almost at the closing table, and we had to stop. They were no longer approved because of credit. So credit is really important. So I want to discuss, why it's so important. And then I've got Shawnee on here. She's the credit expert. She's going to discuss with you, some ways that you can, get your credit in order, some things that you can do to help you right now as well as in the long run. Because that's what it's about. Because even after you purchase your home, you're still going to need credit. You're going to need furniture. You're going to want to purchase a car. You want to keep it intact. So that's the main thing that we want to discuss today. Now, we always hear that cash is king, but your credit will get it. Your credit is something that will absolutely get it. Can you hear me, Shawnee? I can't hear you. Okay, good. Your credit is something that will get it. And so oftentimes, I know with working with first-time buyers, when they purchase at home, they will get their credit, good enough just to qualify for a loan. But what happens if something unexpected happens? Or, if something pops up on your credit and we're almost at the closing table, that can delay you. Or you're just not going to be able to move forward, period. So that's why this is really important. Now, when you start thinking about buying your home, most people start thinking about buying a home at least a year before they actually make that purchase, that's normal. They get it in their mind that they want to start working on their credit. They start looking at different neighborhoods. That's the time that you want to actually have someone look at your credit. I recommend with all of my first-time buyers that have my mortgage guy pull their credit, because oftentimes they don't know, a lot of buyers, they don't know what's on their credit. They just don't know, or they're surprised when there's something really old on there. So I often advise them to have a professional actually look at your credit and tell you what you need to do to qualify for a mortgage, okay? But oftentimes it's not enough. That's why you need someone to come in to actually restore it and teach you, have you on the right track for the long haul. So if you have an idea that you're going to be applying, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to get your credit in order. The best interest rates goes with the best credit scores. And, it has an inverse relationship. So if you have a terrible credit score, or if it's a little bit on the lower end, you're not going to get a good interest rate, which, it's going to be more out of pocket for you. Okay, so that's one thing, to work on. Also, like I said, after you close on your home, you are going to need good credit. You're going to need to buy some furniture. Maybe you want to purchase a car. Oftentimes, people will hold off on making big purchases while they're trying to qualify for a home, and they may have some things that they need. I always advise, if you know you're going to purchase a home, we're not co-signing for anything. Don't just window shop. Don't purchase a car. Don't add any new credit. Don't. Just don't. Just keep things as they are, okay? Also, if you pay off any bad debt or any debt that you have, it may not have that great of an impact on your credit. Oftentimes, I'll have people ask, well, if I pay this off and it's settled, will it be removed on my credit? You need someone to, not necessarily, not always. So that's why it's important to do it the right way. If your credit score, that when you're looking on Credit Karma, I'm just going to say, Credit Karma is good to let you know what's on your credit. It's a good market to say, okay, let's have something to work with, but it does not give you your true score. When a lender is looking at your credit for you to qualify for a mortgage, they're looking at something different than what you're looking at. And so you need a professional to step in and say, okay, this is where I kick in. Okay. So Shani, I'm gonna let you take it over from here because you are the expert. Now I do have some questions that I'm gonna ask you that I've gotten.
Oh, good.
Just from doing this, and then I want you to chime in and just take it away. So the question that I get all the time, and I just mentioned it, if I do a payoff or do a settlement, how does that get removed, or does it even get removed off my credit?
So the quick and short answer is no. Just because you pay off a debt does not mean it's going to automatically come off of your credit report. Mm-hmm. According to the Fair Credit Reporting Act, they're not getting your permission to put these items on your credit report. So it's not really about the debt. That's a very, very good misconception, is that, oh, it's because I owe, and they think that, okay, I pay this and it'll automatically my credit. They're two separate things. So you can owe something and still get it removed from your credit. Mm. Okay. So just the opposite. If you pay something, that doesn't mean it's going to be removed. You have to dispute it. Mm-hmm. And our company, we're a team of credit attorneys at United Credit Education Services, where they are aggressive. Mm-hmm. And they will use some aggressive language to get those things removed.
Yes. Yeah, I see when you're posting, I see the results that you're getting, where you're getting, you're getting credit scores raised 70 points, 100 points, 50 points. That's a big deal. That's a huge deal. I'm just going to be honest with you. It took my husband and I two years. 2 years. We were working on this ourselves. We didn't have a credit person. It took us 2 years back and forth, where when we were paying things off, we thought we were doing the right thing, but we noticed that things were not getting removed. And wow. You have to be super aggressive. I mean, and so you just I don't have time to do all that.
Right. And honestly, this is where we step in. It's because there's a lot of people that don't know, or they have tried it on their own, and they also don't understand the law. So here's a good tidbit of advice, because you said you were doing a lot of back and forth.
Oh my goodness.
I can imagine. But by law, you have the right to dispute every 45 days. Mm-hmm. So that's something that most people don't know. They're just like, oh, I disputed through here and I got a few things off, and I don't know why the other stuff isn't coming off. And it's not to say that, you can't, try on Credit Karma. Some things may come off, mm-hmm. some may not. But I didn't know that knowledge before I started with this company 2 years ago. I didn't know that you had the right to dispute 45 days, every 45 days without fail. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
That's their maximum. They have to return some type of correspondence to say what their findings are within 45 days. And if they don't, so here's another trick. If they don't give any type of answer or correspondence back, and it's the 46th day or 47th, then we can request, you guys broke your agreement where you guys were outside of the 45 days. We're requesting now for all of the things that we have disputed to come off. Mm-hmm. And that's possible because they did not hold up their end of the bargain. And what's great about our company is that we dispute every derogatory item at the same time. Mm-hmm. So there's some other companies that will dispute 2 things at a time, or sometimes even 1, or there's crazy people mm-hmm. that will charge people. I think somebody said they charge them either between $5 and $10 per derogatory item.
What?
Their bill was $725, and her score only went up 3 points.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. And I'm gonna tell you something. I know when I first started referring folks to a credit repair person, there are some companies out here that are just in it to take your money.
Right.
I mean, that's it. And they will slow drag you as long as you let them slow drag you. I mean, it happens. It happens. But you know what, Shani? I didn't introduce you or your company. I just went straight into it. Why don't you introduce yourself? I just went straight into it.
That's okay. I'll do the same thing. I'm like, oh, I'll do that. I'll text in the morning and I'm like so focused. Uh-huh. Then I'll have to go back and say good morning, by the way.
Uh-huh.
That's totally okay. So, like she said, my name is Shawnee Shockley. I am a representative with Financial Education Services, and we partnered with United Credit Education Services. They've been in business for 16 years. And what I love about this is that we're a debt-free company. So we actually have a program to teach our clients and, of course, ourselves how to become debt-free. And so I know that's a big thing in real estate. And just a personal testimony of mine is that my score went up 110 points in 2.5 months of being with the company. Okay, very quick, very significant. I was in the 700s, went down to the 500s when me and my husband split. And honestly, I was just like, when I was introduced to credit, my dad literally was like, don't get a credit card.
Yeah.
When you get to college, just don't get a credit card no matter what you. I was so scared. Now, mind you, I've been working since I was 14 years old, Shannon. Okay, and I worked at my aunt's firm, and she was a lawyer, so I worked at my aunt's firm, and then I got a bank account. And the only thing that they told me was, my dad told me was like, just go to Bank of America, get a bank account, and then keep your books. When you speak, I didn't learn about investing. I didn't learn about net worth. I didn't learn about even really savings, like exactly how to save, like pay yourself first, then save this amount, and then invest this amount. Like even those three things would, I think, saved me when I went into college. So I didn't get any credit cards. I didn't get anything. And my dad just didn't tell me how to use them. But I can't fault him because he didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's what I love about the program, is that we also have a tool to be able to teach our children between the ages of 2 and 18. But of course, you can take the curriculum further than that on the matters of finance, right? And literally how you can do this. And they have mock programs in there. So, I mean, I can get all the way into it, but that's kind of the reason why I jumped in with this company, because it's so much value. And my mind literally was blown.
Yes.
And of course, my own results. And so then, you know, of course, results vary because, of course, there's different companies. A lot of people, we get that question, well, how fast can this happen? This one guy literally said, I need this to happen in 2 weeks. I said, well, this is not going to be the service for you because that's impossible. You know, by law, there is a range of time that has to transpire before things can, you know, come off. Now, you know, like I said, my score went up 40 points in the first 3 weeks, which was a late payment brought up to on time. But then after that, it took a little bit, you know, a few weeks longer. And then a few weeks, I kept getting these results because I was using the tool. And one thing I realized that I didn't know before is that credit card is not bad. You just have to learn how to build your credit.
Exactly.
And that's what we teach as well.
Exactly. And you know what? I think for a lot of us, we were never taught how to use your credit, how to build your credit, how it's going to affect you in the long run, especially when it's time to purchase a home. Right. When a lender, when they're loaning you money, they want to see that you're financially responsible. They want to see how you're paying your bills. You know, they want to say, okay, yeah, we will loan her this money or him this money. That's a lot of money to, you know, just to give away to someone that's not going to do right by it. So when I tell you they get all up in your business, they get up in your business. And so, you know, it can be grueling. So like I said, cash is king, but your credit, it will get it. I mean, that's just what it is. It is. Your credit will get it. So why don't you explain to the folks what makes up a credit score? What are the components that make up your credit score?
Oh, I'm actually going to share my screen, and I can share. Let's see if this goes. All right, I'm actually going to just skip to that slide.
Okay.
Let me get this off while that's still up there. Okay. Well, look, we're just talking about this. What happens when you get that good credit? These are all the things that are awarded to you, right? Contracts without security deposits, higher limits, that new house, and that low interest rate. Just talking about that. Okay. Here we go. Wonderful. And another reason I love this company, they give me all the tools. Give me all the tools. Let me just slide this down so I can see. Okay. So if you guys don't have a pen and paper, go ahead and use your phone and screenshot this, because this is the percentage of each of how your credit is calculated. Okay, usually you see it in a wheel, but we just kind of broke it down like this. So 35% is of your payment history, right? So this is your on-time payments versus delinquencies. And it's important to see that it's the last 24 months are most important. All right. That shows that consistency. And we actually, so if you don't have some lines of credit that are reporting positively, and if you're renting a house right now, we actually, Shannon, I don't know if I told you, but we actually have what we call Credit My Rent, where you're able to put 24 payments of positive on-time rental payments onto your credit score. And one of our clients did that, and we're able to report it to TransUnion and Equifax, and her score went up 138 points just by going back 2 years. And then 30% is the capacity and the amount owed. So again, the percentage of credit limits available. So we're going to keep that credit card utilization under that 30%, right? Because this is where it shows if you're financially responsible or not. How much of that are you using? And then of course, length of credit. How long have you had your accounts? So this is a little tricky, because sometimes when you get those things removed off of your score, it can take that length of credit with it, right? Because you no longer have that. And again, this is why the payment history it holds so much weight. And then of course we have the new credit increase is 10%. So number of increase and new accounts opened. Let me see, let me move this over a little bit. In the last 12 to 18 months. So this is important when, of course, like buying a house. Some people, they're like, I'm gonna buy a house in the next 6 months. Right. Well, it happens. They say they want to buy it in the next 6 months. And then we're like, oh, that's going to be a little lengthy, because you don't want to have all these new credit inquiries on there. So we actually have a secured card, because there is no credit check with our secured card. And then you're able to put down your own money. So that'll kind of save you on using that 10% and having a ding on your credit. And like you said, this is not the time while you're fixing your credit to go buy a car. I literally was on the phone with a young lady this morning, signing her up for credit repair. And she was like, I want to get a car like ASAP. And I was like, well, you can't while you're on the program, because you're going to have a high interest rate, and then you're going to be working backwards, trying to raise your credit score, and then have to go back to the dealership and refinance, instead of just doing it the right way now and getting your score close to that 700, you know, to be able to apply for something. Because she said they ran her credit over and over again. Now we also have in Smart Credit, it actually shows you your car credit score. So right. Now listen, not only your car credit score, it also shows you your insurance credit score. So you're actually able to walk in and say, look, this is my car credit score right here. You know, you can go ahead and accept this. You don't have to run my credit 1,000 times. And then of course, if your insurance is high and your score goes up, you can go in with that score. We've actually had a consultant that went in with that score, and her insurance was able to be dropped down over $100.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And then lastly, it's the type of credit. So a lot of people think that, like my dad said, don't get a credit card, don't get a credit card. But having the type of credit, you need one or two revolving, right? You can have a Target card. You can have the Credit My Rent. They have to see, and they say about 5, right? About 5 is going to show that you know how to manage and maintain all of these revolving loans or debts, or credit cards or things like that. So you want to have a mix of it as well. So not just 5 credit cards. You want to have different things.
Yes. And this is the same thing that when a lender's doing their consultation, this is the same thing that they tell potential buyers. When they're not sure where to start. Because a lot of people just don't know where to start. But one, you have to pay, you have to have a good payment history and pay things on time, and you can't have too much debt. It goes hand in hand with when they're, like I said, when you're trying to get pre-approved for a home, they want to look at your debt to income ratio. If you have too much debt, you're not going to be able to afford, your monthly bills.
Right.
So, all of it goes hand in hand. Okay. Anything else you want to add to that? I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no. Let me see here.
So
actually going to go to the debt to income
Okay.
ratio. Okay, so as you see on the very far end, we have, well, first of all, you obviously want to have the budgeting. People need to budget, so we make sure that you have that within the services, but then also the debt payoff. So this is where we talk to a lot of real estate agents, brokers, and lenders about our debt payoff system, and they love it because it's not consolidation.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yeah.
not,
Oh, yes. Do not consolidate. Yeah.
repeat that. Do not
Not
consolidate.
consolidate, because just don't do it. Just
It looks like a good deal, but unfortunately, it's actually worse. So within our system, we give you a debt payoff system. So it's you create a financial plan that will give you the exact payment guide to eliminate your debt quicker than you expected and save you from unnecessary interest payments. So literally, you're able to plug everything in and have a date attached to it, and then we're going to help you to get those debts paid down. And remember, these are not collections. If you have something in collections that you have not paid on, do not pay on those because you no longer owe that person that bought your debt.
mm-hmm.
That's another thing. I just talked to a guy today and he was about to pay $1,000 on this collection agency that he's never even heard of from a medical bill. And I was just like, you don't have an agreement with them. You have it with the original person, but they have now written it off on their taxes.
Mm.
So if you have other debts that are like student loans, you cannot get rid of, right? So you would plug it, into your debt payoff, because that's a big thing as well. That a lot of people are like, I have these student loans that's really killing my credit. How do I, get rid of those? But I do want to ask you a question about that. So I'll stop sharing my screen. There we go. So I have a question about the student loans, because so we're able to get student loans removed. Of course, it does not remove the debt, but it removes the item from your credit report. Now, when you guys do your pool or et cetera, if it's taken off of the credit report, do you guys still see the debt somewhere else that would disqualify someone?
Well, they will still see the debt. The lender, when they pull it, they're going to see the debt. And it's not going to necessarily disqualify them. Depending on the type of loan that they get, the monthly amount or the full amount will be calculated into their debt to income ratio. So say, for instance, if they are on a conventional loan, and this is all post COVID-19, I'll need to check with my lender to see if they're still counting it, because debt to income ratios have gone up a little bit. Well, they've decreased. I'm sorry, they've decreased a little bit. And credit score requirements have gone up. But, and I suspect that it's going to go back to that relatively soon. But depending on the type of loan, so say, for instance, if you were getting a conventional loan, all you needed to do is be in good standing, and 1% of your loan amount will be counted as your debt to income ratio. Versus if you have an FHA loan, some lenders were counting your monthly payment that you owe against your debt to income ratio. So it all depends on the type of loan that you get. And it just depends on the underwriting requirements, but it's going to be, they're going to find it. Yeah.
And that's what I said again, is where the debt payoff system comes into play.
But so many people there, you wouldn't believe the amount of folks that have high student loan. Well, you would believe that, but the amount of folks that have high student loan debt. So it does count against you, but and if it's removed, the lender's still going to find it.
Right.
Yeah, they're still going to find it.
It's that double. So that's why you getting your credit repaired and using that debt payoff system is going to get that down so that it can start to level out. And then of course your score. So let's talk about scores. Where in the market right now is the minimum score for a FHA? So some lenders are. What does that stand for? We may have some people on the line that doesn't know what an FHA actually stands for.
So with an FHA loan, that is basically a loan for first-time home buyers. Okay. A lot of folks opt to do a FHA loan. You only need a 3.5%. Okay. You only need 3.5% to put down. And it used to be that, you only needed a 580 credit score. Okay. Well, when all of this stuff happened, a lot of lenders, and they still only require a 580 credit score. A lot of lenders, okay, raised that minimum score to 680, and then it came back down to 660, and then it was 620. Some are still doing a 580, but yes, but you know that your interest rate is going to be high if you have a 580 credit score, okay, which is going to result in what? More out of pocket, right? It's going to result in your more out of pocket. And that's just what it is. Hold on one moment. I'm responding to someone on here on Facebook.
Somebody's still coming.
Okay. So yeah, so they require a 580. It's the Fair Housing Administration. They require they still keep, still require 580, but it depends on your lender. Now, if you want to get any type of down payment assistance, guess what? You still need to have a 620 credit score.
Wow, that's good information.
Yeah. Some will want you to have a 680. It just depends on the lender, but you still need to have that 620 credit score at a minimum. And then with everything that's going on right now, with the economy being so crazy, good luck, good luck with that. A lot of, some of our down payment assistance programs, in particular Georgia Dream, after June 30th, that's it. That's it for right now.
Now, is that scoring across the board? Because I'm in California, I know you're in Georgia. Is that just kind of across the board?
For FHA, yeah, that doesn't change. For FHA, it doesn't change. It just depends on the lender that you get with. The lender that you use, they are the ones that set that score that they're willing to accept.
That is
that
very
score that they're willing to accept. So that's why I say you have some lenders that will still do a 580.
You're not that person.
No, I mean, if you are 580 and if you really want to get into that home, I always ask that everyone, once we find your home, or even if we can simulate a home, find a home that's listed on the market that's within your budget, I always request a loan estimate, because you need to see and compare. You need to see all of those out of pocket fees that you are going to have and how much you're going to pay for this home when you go to that closing table and, in the long run. And you'd be amazed.
Yeah.
At what, a low credit score, how it can affect you.
So what would be like your like ultimate client? They came to the table with what credit score in order to get what?
The perfect credit score. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I mean,
well, because I'm saying if 680 is kind of like on the high end of what lenders will want, what if somebody came to the table with like a 720? Yeah. What would?
Everybody's excited. Everybody's excited. If they came with a 720, even if you don't have a lot of income, even if your income isn't really big, if you have that great credit score, a 720, and your debt to income ratio is low, you're going to get approved. You're going to get approved. You might get approved for a smaller budget, but you'll still get approved.
So then what would, so is there a down payment regardless of that?
Yeah. So this is another thing. So there are some loan programs that are 100%, okay? 100% if it's an FHA loan or conventional, but that money's not free money.
Right.
Okay. It's not free money. Oftentimes sometimes it's a forgivable grant, but you have to be in your home for an X amount of years, or it's a second mortgage on your home. That's all it is, which is going to cause your interest rate to be a little bit higher. Okay. We have VA and USDA loans, but those are, if you're VA, you'll be able to get that. That's, 100% no money down. You'll still have your closing costs associated with it. Those are two separate things.
Okay.
Down payment and closing costs. Those are two separate things. So your down payment, let me back up a little bit. The down payment portion is that portion where your lender is saying, okay, this is the amount that I'm requiring you to put up. It's kind of like, it's your skin in the game is what it is. So, if you get a, $150,000 loan, let me get my calculator. You know that your down payment is going to be about $5,200.
Oh, okay.
And that's with that FHA loan. Okay. That's outside of closing costs. Closing costs are those things like taxes that you have to pay, prorated taxes, closing fees, title searches, lender fees, all that good stuff. But we always ask for that, and we negotiate those closing costs. So
okay,
that's something that we always ask for.
What would be the range on closing costs? Like if somebody had needed an idea of what that would look like.
To be conservative, I would say at least 5%. It's anywhere between 3 and 5%.
Of
But
that,
I like to
of that loan?
Of the purchase price, yes.
Of the purchase price.
Of the purchase price. So your down payment is going to be 3.5% of your purchase price, okay? And your closing cost is going to be 3.5% of the purchase price, okay?
If you guys are
I'm sorry, your down payment is going to be about 5% of your purchase price.
5%.
5% of your purchase price.
Take notes.
Yeah, so what's going to happen is you figure if you purchase a home that's about 150, you know your down payment, your closing costs combined, and that's some of your out-of-pocket expenses like an inspection, an appraisal, things like that. It's going to run you about $12,000-$13,000.
Yeah, and see, I was even shooting for 15. Like I was. That's good. That is really, really good to know. Now, understand you are teaching me as well, because I am not necessarily in the real estate game on that end. I just work with a lot of real estate agents for this very reason, so that we can talk about, our client that we have together.
Yes.
But this is some wonderful information because, of course, now it's going to be a little different for me and some of my counterparts that are on the call with me. Thank you so much for supporting, because we are in California.
Yes.
I ain't never heard of a house at 150,000.
Oh, no. That's just for numbers. That's just, they are out there. Now, it might be a tear down or something like that, but they are here. So we still have some really good homes here. You might have to go out a little bit further, but we still got them. We still got them here.
Well, yeah, no, I'm from Hammond, Louisiana, a very small town. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but that is absolutely feasible. And I have acres. I mean, like, that's definitely something in a different state. I was just making light. Just kind of think about it. I'm like, okay, out here, if I want to live where I want to live, let me just go on and put like 40 racks to the side.
Yeah, they're beating y'all over the head in California. I mean,
I got some work to do.
They are really beating y'all over the head in California. But yeah, so and so FHA, it is Fair Housing Administration. If you get a conventional loan, you can do as low as 5%. And there are some lenders that are doing 100% financing with that as well. But like I said, it could be a second mortgage or a forgivable grant. That you have to stay there for X amount of years, or you're gonna have to owe that money back.
Right. And what's so funny? I know this is a little off topic, but my friend actually did Habitat for Humanity. And it's very similar to that. Like, you have to stay in the house for a certain amount of time. You still have to put down a certain amount. You still have to qualify with your credit score, with your debt to income ratio. You have to put in hours. I mean, so this is very enlightening. I'm enjoying this information because it really has my wheels spinning. Like, okay, got it. So, sorry, I lost my train. I was thinking of a question, but go ahead.
Okay, so Credit Karma, I want to touch on that a little bit too. Like I said, you have a lot of folks that will go to Credit Karma as a guide, and they think that that's their true score. And oftentimes they're shocked when they realize that score is 30, 40 points off.
Yep.
Not in a good way, in a bad way. It's usually 30, 40 points off. So when you are consulting with someone, and they bring up Credit Karma, what do you tell them?
I tell them that's okay. That's a starting point for me to kind of see where they are. But most likely when we pull their credit and we go through Smart Credit to, and we'll see their true score. And they are, but I actually had a client that said, why is my score 30 points? It was like 32 points higher on Smart Credit than it was on Credit Karma. And we just explained to them, it's the Vantage system. And then also Credit Karma is just not 100% accurate.
No.
Because they're trying to sell credit cards. They're not really doing hardcore, credit consulting. They're just literally trying to push the credit cards on people.
Yeah, that's it. Those credit card companies, they pay for that Credit Karma app to work. They're the ones that's paying for that. So, I mean, it's it's good to, you can see what's on your credit, who's checked your credit, things like that. But, don't let that be the only thing that you go by. Now, as far as them communicating with their creditors, should they only do that in writing, or should it only be done in writing? Should they ever speak with their creditor over the phone? How does that work?
Yes, so we always suggest writing. And because our credit attorneys are going to be drafting up legally, dispute letters, we let that do the talking. Now, what's great about what else we have, we talked about that debt that you really do owe that's not in collections, that you may want to try to settle with the company before it gets there. We actually have templates of those negotiation letters that you're actually able to download.
Okay.
It literally has everything on the writing itself, and you are able to fill in the blanks, and then you want to mail it to them certified to make sure they receive it.
So is it good to settle, or just, when you're negotiating with your creditor, do you want to settle? Is it good to pay everything off? How does that? Just pay the whole debt, or?
Well, so once again, if it's not in collections, if it's something that you have just, you've gotten behind on payments, and maybe you've been saving up trying to, and you're just like, I don't know if I could ever come out of this hole. I want to be able to just, maybe make a request for them to lower payments. So the negotiation letter could be for them to lower your payment.
Yes.
Right. So that could help you out. Or you could, we do have a settlement letter as well. So one is negotiation, one is a settlement letter. So if you came into some money, right? Let's say that your stimulus was going to cover everything, but of course you don't want to spend your whole stimulus, because right now we don't know if we're going to be getting more. So that $1,200 is like gone, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's nothing. So you could do a settlement where you say, look, I can give you $300 today if you accept this, because I've been late every month for the last such and such month. I'm only paying half the payments, or X, Y, and Z. It's been 4 years, whatever the thing is, you're able to, come up with your own agreement. And once again, you want to mail that in certified, and then they should be giving you correspondence back. Because when they get you on the phone, it's almost like admitting guilt right away. Because once you admit that it's your name, and yes, it's me, and all that kind of stuff, then you're already admitting guilt that it's yours and X, Y, and Z. So you don't want to even take the phone calls. You want to do everything in writing.
Yes. Now, what about for items that, because you just mentioned that when your debt is sold, it's sold to another party. What about for items that are showing up twice? It's showing up to you with your original creditor, and then with that third party that it's been sold to.
Now that's interesting. I've seen a collection agency put it on there multiple times just to bring your score down, honestly. I personally haven't seen it where it's the original and the creditor, because then that wouldn't really make sense. They would cancel each other out. Usually what happens is that if the collection agency has your debt, that means that the original creditor has now decided that they're not going to deal with it anymore, and they sold it at around 30% or lower. So like if your bill was $1,000, the collection agency probably bought it for about $300 or less, but they're still asking for the full $1,000. This is why they're able to tell you, you know what, if you can pay $700 today, then we'll take it. Then we'll take care of it. That's because they only paid $300, and now they just got you for $400. But you in your mind are thinking, I just saved $300. No, you just gave away $700 because the original creditor, they have written it off on that tax. So if they sold 30% of it, right, they got their $300, and then you wrote off the 70%. Who are you owing? That's really what it comes down to. They have already recouped their money through taxes, because it's a loss for them. So they've already said, well, Shani's not going to pay this. It's going to be an L for us. And so now you're just paying this random company that doesn't have your information, your original agreement. And that's why we're able to take those collections off, or, to get those collections off and request them to come off, because they're not the original creditor. The only other caveat to that is that sometimes you can request and say, oh, you think this is my debt? You're saying that it's mine? Then go give it back to the original creditor. of course they're not going to, because the creditor is going to be like, no, you took that. I'm not going to buy it back from you
Yeah.
and then try to get my money from this person.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, you know what? And that's interesting. I don't think a lot of folks know that when it's sold to that third party, you did not make an agreement. It's funny you said that. My sister, she had gone through a similar situation where she had a debt that had been sold. I mean, it was a big debt too. It was a big debt. They just did everything totally wrong. And she had gone to court, a couple of times. They had no proof that she had ever been served. I mean, it was just a mess. She stayed diligent with it, and she finally did get it removed off of her credit. But she had to stay diligent. I mean, and it blocked her from doing so many things because it was.
And I think you're so right. You have to stay diligent. And when a collection comes off of your report, they're not, if you notice, a collection agency doesn't like keep reporting every month that you're late. It's just on your credit, and it's a high impact on your credit. So once it gets removed, it's not going to, where is it going to come back from?
Exactly.
It's very rare that a collection comes back. I personally have never seen that. And one thing I want to mention, if I didn't say it already, is that if you pay $1 on that debt, that is admitting guilt, and then it'll be way harder to get that removed. So for myself, before I was with this company, I had a medical bill, which again, they shouldn't have put on my credit report because it's against HIPAA violation. So I didn't know that until I got with this company.
I didn't know that either.
Look, good information.
I did not know that. I didn't know that.
Because if you think about it, no one, it's so funny to me because I was a doula as well. I don't practice anymore. But when I was a doula, HIPAA was more about, well, from what I remember, it was like, you can't say that your client was at this hospital. Like, no. So when it comes down to it, it makes sense. No one should know that you were ever at Tarzana Medical. But Tarzana Medical is now on my credit report, and everybody that sees it, they saw that I was in Tarzana Medical in 2015. That's no one's business. That is a violation of HIPAA. So that's what we leveraged to get those removed. But I started to pay on it because, again, I wasn't with this company and I didn't know. I started to pay on it, could not make any more payments. And then I was still able to get it removed. Now, it was harder, but it came off of Experian. And I think it may still be lingering on one of the other two, but it can come off. It can still come off, but like you said, you have to stay diligent and keep working with it because, of course, people want results really fast, and they're just like, why is it still in my credit report? Well, it's so many factors. It's the company.
Yeah.
It could be the debt. If you have a high, like you said, your sister had a high collection with them, they don't want to let that go.
No.
So why would that be easy? And this one girl, I have $8,000 in collections. Why would they want to let $8,000 go? Yeah. You have to keep going. You have to be diligent, and every 45 days, through us or, through that paper, you have to keep sending it.
Yes. And when you're in the process of making a big purchase, I always recommend you need to have someone else step in and do it for you. Because I've seen too many times where people get frustrated. They need someone to hold them accountable. Just let the professionals do it. Let someone that does this for a living, let them take care of that, because I've seen it way too many times. You'll start out in this journey, and you're happy, you're ready, you're gung-ho, but once you see how much work that goes into it, it's over. It's over with for some. So yeah, good information. Now, disputing. I want to get back to that because some people hear that all you got to do is dispute. When should you not dispute, and when should you dispute?
I don't think that's a good question. There's not really a time that you shouldn't, because once again, it's not about the debt. It's about the simple fact that they did not get your permission to put the item on your report according to the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So I would say there's really no time not to, because once again, the debt and the reporting are two different things. So what we tell our clients is that, again, if you have a debt that is current, right, that is not in collections, you want to make an agreement. So we always talk about student loans because that's kind of the biggest thing. You have to make an agreement, have it in deferment, have it in loan for, forbearance, have it in something where it's going to like block out time.
Yes.
You set that date, right? So usually if you have an income repayment, they block out a whole year of payments. Now, that's the extra information you can actually, and what they do suggest that they don't necessarily tell you, but I'm a digger, so I was asking a lot of questions, and they suggest that you pay what the interest rate would be per month, and then like 25% extra.
Okay.
You can still make payments. So like, let's say that your bill is $400. That's a lot. That's a car note plus, right? That's car note and insurance sometimes.
Yes.
So it's hard to make a decision. You're like, no, I'm going to pay my car and my insurance over this. This was me for a very long time, right? So you put that on there. You're like, I can't afford 400, but I can afford 150. And then lo and behold, if your interest is 100, then go ahead and pay that 150 because it's still going to take away from that loan and get that loan debt down.
Yeah. And if it's something that you already have factored into your budget, just pay it.
Right.
You know, if it's something that you already have factored, just pay it. You know, you're not losing anything.
And that's where the budget system comes in, is that most people are just, well, I'm going to just take this year to not make those payments. And I say, you know what, that's okay, because technically you don't have to. But if you told the company that you could pay $150, then take that $150 and put it somewhere.
Yeah, and put it somewhere.
Every month.
Absolutely. Now,
is that last thing, because what happens is that if you get to that year mark, let's say the year mark is June 1st, and you don't make that payment, now you've reneged on what you set up, and yes, it will come right back on your credit report.
I was getting ready to ask you that. Does that ever come back on your credit report if you don't honor what you said? How's that going to reflect?
Yeah, it's going to come back, and of course, you're probably going to have a late payment right away.
Yeah, right away, immediately. I know.
Right. If it's due on the first, now of course they do have grace period, so it depends. Like I'm like Navia bought my debt, and again, it's student loans. It's just is what it is, right? And they don't have to have your permission to sell. That's the thing. It's about the reporting, right? So you have to kind of roll with it. And the problem is that they send you these emails. You know, you just be clicking. You don't realize, and then you're kind of stuck with it because you are agreeing. So, so when that date comes, they will give you maybe like a 10-day grace period. But once that 11th and 12th day hit, they're either calling you, and now at this point they're reporting again.
Yes, they are, and they don't stop.
No, they're gonna get that. They're gonna get their $30,000 or more.
So, how many times can your debt be sold?
You know, that's a good question. I've definitely heard 3 times, because and the thing is that there is, to my knowledge, just to me, my own research, there's really no cap.
Yeah.
You know, like I personally don't know the cap, because I've had someone say that they counted and it was definitely more than 3. Because they said, I went to this school, and then this person called me, 6 months later, and then they went out of business. And so then this person called me. And now it's some company I've never even heard of in my whole entire life. It's like 4 or 5 times. So, but for me, like I said, just dealing with the clients that I've had and just my own personal experience, I've seen it about 3 times, but I don't have any literature right now to say that it can't be more than that. Yeah.
Now, is it true that after 7 years, your debt goes away? How does that work?
So no, that's not true. That is not true. Yes, because they want to say that just to make you feel better. But again, that means that you're going to not do anything about your credit, and you're going to let it sit there for 7 years, and you're not even going to try to dispute it, because you're just like, well, I'm going to just let it, be there. Again, if the debt goes down to 0, it still has to be disputed to get taken off of your report.
Yes.
So no, you do not have to wait 7 to 10 years to get bankruptcies off. You don't have to wait 7 to 10 years to get collections off. You don't have to wait.
Yeah, it's just having it removed. I think a lot of folks, they, once they pay a debt off, they don't take that extra step to have it removed.
Right.
And that's the thing. They don't take that extra step to have it removed. And so when you're qualifying, like I said, I'll go back to when you're trying to qualify for a mortgage or anything for that matter, those things are going to come up. you're going to have to explain away, why do you have this debt? Why do you not have that debt? Or not, why do you not have that debt, but why do you have this debt? Why hasn't this been paid off? Or why is this still showing? I've had a couple of occasions where the buyer's credit score is where it needed to be to qualify for a mortgage, and they have clearly, it shows on the credit report that the debt has been paid off, but it's still sitting there.
Yeah, because it's an item.
Yeah, it's just an item. Exactly. And so we've had to actually contact, the company that they paid this debt to get some sort of documentation saying, hey, yep, this was paid off. That's a delay.
Yeah, this just happened to my friend. Him and his wife, 3 kids, 1 on the way, and it showed. And then they said, we cannot move forward until it's actually removed.
Yes.
And they had to call, and they called, and then they actually sent them the actual, letter saying that it was paid off and asking it to be removed. And they're like, oh yeah, we received it, but we're waiting for it to get processed. They're like, what? Why? What do you mean waiting for it to get processed?
Yeah.
So this is another reason why, when you know that you're about to pay something off, and I tell the story because now, once again, it's about the company. It's not always going to work for each one, but for my mom, it worked for her to this day. So and once again, small town of Hammond. So she had a loan, and I said, and she's like, I had got this money from whatever, I need to pay off the whole loan. And I was going to have her pay it down slowly so that it would, drop, it would have that utilization under 30% and have her score go up. But she was like, I have to pay it because of whatever. So I said, fine. But before you actually do, when you pay it, have them draft up a letter, and you and the person sign it saying that they will not report the closed account to the credit bureaus. Because if they do, yes, the loan is off, but now you have a closed account showing up on your credit report, and that still drops your score as well.
Yes, it does.
So it goes back to what you're saying. It's like, well, if it's paid, why is this item still on here? So she went ahead and did that. And to this day, it has not been reported. She has not come back to me and say, yeah, it popped back up, or it's now on my account as closed. Yeah. So I was happy about that.
Good, good. Very good, very good. Well, that is pretty much all I have. I mean, I think we covered a lot. With regards to the main takeaway is that, if you're thinking about purchasing a home, or whatever purchase that you're thinking about making, you want to start thinking about, getting your budget in order. You want to get your credit in order. I can't say this enough. Cash is king, but your credit will get it. I mean, it will. Your credit will get it. You can have, unless you're purchasing a home and you're paying cash, you've got, a couple $100,000 on hand, which most people don't have that just lying around. You're going to have to get a loan. And so they're going to look at your whole financial history. They're going to look at the picture. I mean, it's, we all run into situations where, you've got some blemishes on your credit, but they're going to look at that. You're going to have to explain it away, and it'll delay, if not disqualify you.
Yeah.
Okay? If not disqualify you. And my goal is to not just have you get to that minimum score just to qualify. You want to, for one, develop healthy, habits with your money, but you want to have a strong enough score. So once you do close on your home, your credit is still pretty strong, and you can still go get those other things that you need if you have to use your credit.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. Anything you want to add, Ms. Shawnee?
You know what? It just came across my mind, because just thinking about people who are just trying to get into homes however they can, and they're just trying to hit the minimum so that they can get into the home. And like you said, they still need to go further to fix their credit to get other things. A lot of people, what is your thought on people buying trade lines?
Okay. I haven't had, I know that they're expensive, for one. I know that they're expensive. I haven't had a lot of dealings with those with regards to, a mortgage. Okay. So I haven't had a lot of dealing with those. I've had some dealings with those in other areas. Okay. In other areas. But from what I understand, if you are, like for instance, my husband and I, I'll just use us as an example. He has really strong credit. I don't have really strong credit, but if he adds me as a user to his credit card and pays it on time, then, you know, that will help boost my credit. From what I understand, that is what they do with the trade line, but you're using someone else's credit you don't know.
Right. So that's the thing, is that I try to explain to people, because I have somebody ask me about trade lines, and then I asked a bought trade line, and then I also have someone ask me about a CPN number.
Mm-hmm.
And my first kind of question to them also was, so if you can pay $3,000 for a trade line,
yes,
why can't you pay to just get your credit fixed?
Yes.
And also, you can put the credit my rent, you can get a secured card, and you can put that 3,000 on there, and then, you know, and then use that 30% to raise your credit score.
Mm-hmm.
It can go up, you know, significantly.
Yeah.
Or you can find that family member, because unfortunately that is a trend where people are buying it between $15,000 and $3,000. Their score goes up, and then as soon as they get into the home or the car or whatever, then their score tanks, and now they're in a nice house with a 500 credit score
and no furniture.
You know, because furniture stores, you have to get financed.
You have to get financed, yeah. And you know, you get a new house, you want new furniture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You want new furniture. So yeah, I don't always recommend those. I mean, I've seen, and I get approached with those all of the time. Let me, you know, if you got any clients, we can do trade line. They have little, I'm like, no, we're just gonna stay away from that.
It just, and things I have to do a little bit digging, but I don't even think it's necessarily legal.
I don't think it is either.
To use someone else's, because of course you can be an authorized user on your husband. Of course you can be authorized user on your sister, on your mom. But it's like, where you get, who is this person that you're randomly getting this information from to put you on it that they may not even know is there?
Mm-mm.
That's true.
You're right. And I think with a lot of the trade lines that are being sold, if I'm not mistaken, they're 30, 60, 90 days. They're not a very long time.
No. It's like the last thing that people do in order to get that score to shoot up.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, then when they get taken off of it, then it tanks right back down.
Yeah, it does.
And that's why we are a financial literacy company. We want to make sure that we're educating you on it, so that when your score gets to, because your score goal could be whatever it is, right? So let's say that your goal score is that 720, right? That perfect one to get you really everything that you need for a home. But you don't want to just stop there. Like, why stop at 720? Because if you have one late payment, it's going to take away 40 to 60 points, and now you're back down in the 600s.
Mm-hmm.
So we want you to get to that 750 and above, because there are going to be things that you're just going to have to apply for, and it's going to drop your score a little bit. And then with that first or second payment, it's going to go back up and even higher.
Yes.
So we want to teach people to use their credit, because you will lose it.
Yes.
You can't just, people say, I don't have any credit cards. I don't have any credit cards. And I'm just like, well, that actually is not a good thing. It's not like you don't get a cookie for that. You have to just retrain your brain to understand that that's not something that, we want to help you to understand how to use it properly.
Exactly. I had a client one time before. She had great income. I mean, really great income, but she didn't have any credit. She would pay her rent 3-4 months in advance.
Oh my goodness.
3-4 months in advance. She didn't use a bank. She used one of those prepaid cards. Like a prepaid card, not like a green dot card, a card like that, something like that. So she didn't have a relationship with the bank to show her history. She just didn't show any type of history. And so
like a ghost.
It took her a while to get her trained right, to say, look, at least open up a checking account or a savings account, something. You have to do something. There was one question that I wanted to ask you. Someone said no, in Georgia. No, she's not in Georgia, but she can work with you. She can still work with you. Why don't you, I've had a question, Shani, is your company here in Georgia?
No.
Why don't you tell them a little bit how you work?
Right. So United Credit Education Services has been around for 16 plus years, and they're based in Farmington Hills, Michigan. I'm on the services myself as a representative. So we work remotely. So some of my counterparts on here, my mentor, Natalia, she came to support, John Toya Damon, Bridget Parker. So all of us are are agents, within the company to be able to work remotely. So wherever you are, we can still help.
Yep. And I mean, I see her results, so I know she's getting it done.
You gotta follow to see the results. Restore a New You on Instagram.
So I know she's getting it done. I'm seeing results. There was one question that I had to ask you, and it was in the middle when we were talking. It slipped my mind. Oh goodness. Higher your score is, the better your interest rate. I cannot think of that question that I had. It was a good one too.
You have to shoot it to me, and then I'll give you the answer.
Yes, I cannot think of that. I can't think of it. Well, I mean, I don't have anything else to add. Do you have anything else you want to add? Why don't you tell everybody how they can get in touch with you, if they want to set up a consultation?
Absolutely. So I just put my Instagram in the chat. I'm actually going to put my number in the chat for a free consultation to go over your finances, etc. But honestly, I work from home. And you can also, so when you go to my Instagram, Restore a New You, then in my bio, there's a link to my Calendly, and you're able to set up your own appointment with me with the hours that are available. And then of course, I'll get right back to you. So you plug in your information, I'll get back to you. It's only 5 here in California. So I work kind of late. So I'll be up to 11 p.m. California time. If you want to shoot me a text, with your name, your beginning credit score, and maybe some derogatory items that are affecting your score, you can do that.
Okay, good deal, good deal. And with me, I am here in Georgia, but I have agents, realtors that I work with everywhere. So if you're not in Georgia, no worries. I can still reach out to some agents that I network with and get you connected. The main thing is we want to make sure that purchasing a home is a big investment, but we want to make sure that while you're purchasing this home, you'll have something to pass down to your children. But besides just passing that home down, you want to pass down healthy credit habits, healthy money management habits. And you just want to teach them that, debt is not always a bad thing. Not a lot of, a little bit of debt. If you manage it right, it's not always a bad thing.
Right.
Okay. And so we want to, get you to that 700, 720 and above, so you can get some of the things that you need. You have that, that credit will get it power.
Right. And I would add one last thing that a lot of people don't have is a will and trust.
Oh, yes.
So because people are purchasing homes and they're adding more assets,
yes,
something within our program that is gifted to you. There's no extra cost for that. So it usually can run people between 15 and 3,000. It's included in our program. And then of course, if you have children, you want to make sure that you have a will and trust.
Yes.
And that's in our program as well, because then you can put the house in there, right?
Yes. Yes.
All of those things in there so that your family doesn't have to, move because there's nobody to pass it down to and it gets sold or, foreclosed on, et cetera.
Oh,
and I have connections to insurance where you can have that living insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So if something was to happen to your home,
mm-hmm.
and your family wouldn't have to move, it would be paid off.
Yes.
So that's a little extra tidbit that I want to say. So if you have insurance issues as well, or if you have people that don't have, insurance on their home so that the family doesn't lose it,
yes.
Then they can contact me about that as well.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of times folks think that insurance that's required, that homeowner's insurance or that mortgage insurance, that doesn't protect you, the homeowner. That mortgage insurance protects the lender.
Yep.
And then that homeowner's insurance, if something happens to your home, you need to have some repairs, flooding, whatever the case may be. But in the event that someone passes away or something like that, you're still on the hook for that mortgage, and it can be a financial hardship, especially if you went into it depending on 2 incomes.
Right.
So that's something that's really important. I don't think a lot of folks, when they found out that all that insurance that you have to pay for every month, that it doesn't protect you, it protects the lender, it protects their investment. I mean, the home is your investment, but it's their investment too.
Right.
And they want to protect it until it's paid off.
Yeah, that's good to know, because you don't want to have to be a burden on your family in death.
Mm-hmm. You are absolutely right. So we're going to cover the whole life insurance and why you need to have that coverage on your home too. That's something that's important that we're gonna discuss later on down the line. I'm a big believer in that. Big believer in life insurance.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I can be found on Facebook or Instagram at Shannon Ellis and Associates. You can email me, Shannon at Shannon Ellis and Associates. You can send me a text or an email or a DM. I'm really responsive if you have any questions. If you didn't catch Shani's information, I'll be happy to shoot it over to you. And I think that is, oh yeah, your Facebook group. She has a Facebook group, the 800 Club. So make sure you guys check that out as well, okay? Just reach out to her if you have any questions. Reach out to me if you have any questions. Does anybody have any questions before we end, or are we good to go?
I think so.
Well, I want to thank everyone for taking time out of your day to join us. I'm so happy that we were able to get this information out. And if you want a recording of this, we covered a lot. I'll be happy to send you a recording of this in your email. So just like I said, just shoot me a DM or something like that, and I'll make sure that you get a recording, okay?
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for agreeing to do this. I really appreciate it.
Of course. People need to know, and I want to reach as many people as I can. So It's really my pleasure.
Yep. Thank you. Y'all have a good one, okay?
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Bye.